나는 안 먹는데.
Yeah. Yo, what time the plane leaving? Right. See you at the airport. Hey. I'm leaving on the next plane. I don't know when I'll be back again. Kiss me and smile for me. Tell me that you'll wait for me. Hold me like you know I'll never go. Even though you know I will. I'm a traveling man, moving through places, space and time.
Hello everyone, my name is Thomas Gunn. Welcome back to my channel, Traveling Gunn. And the video that you just saw was when I landed in Korea. Jake Gyllenhaal and Tom Holland also landed at the same time. I'm not for sure if they was on the same plane as I am. And they were coming through the airport. And it's pretty wild because we landed at like 3:30 in the morning. And some people were saying that those people have waited and waited for them for almost a day, sitting in the airport at about 3 o'clock in the morning, waiting for two movie stars to come out. And if for those who don't know who Tom Holland is Spider-Man from the Avengers and Spider-Man Homecoming. Jake Gyllenhaal, if you don't know who he is, he's been in Jarhead, Nightcrawler, Zodiac. He's been in Brokeback Mountain, just to name a few movies. But yeah, that happened, and you know, after they walked off, and I mean it was crazy. They had Secret Service people with earpieces in, and after they walked off, all the girls literally just almost got trampled, chased after him, down the elevator, chased after his car and everything. It was a wild scene. But enough about that. Today's video is just going to be about my trip to Korea. Seoul to be exact. I was off for 1 week, yeah, that was the first time I've ever been off since that long of a stretch that was just awarded to me being here. And no, sorry, I did not record anything while I was there as far as footage for me to vlog, because for one, it's my first time being there, so I kind of wanted to experience everything that Seoul had to offer and kind of do the things that I wanted to do. And two, it's kind of hard for me, you know, just to do this with my phone all day and record. You know, most people can do it. I can't. I've never been a guy to do that. Just like if you go on my Instagram page, you'll see a lot of pictures of things, but you'll never see a lot of pictures of me, myself in it. So me doing this YouTube channel is like a big step, a big jump for me because I just never been the one to be just with my camera and constantly recording things. But go ahead and get into things. If you do decide to take a trip to Seoul, I will say this: it is very, very, very beautiful. The people are amazing. The food is great, and you should go. You should go. And I'm just a warning now, I may mess up some names that I say in Korean, so please don't judge me, don't hold me to it. If you know the correct spelling, just I understand, I don't know, so I'm letting you know now that, hey, I'm going to mispronounce some words here. But first things first, it was a 14-hour flight from Atlanta, and it was a pretty smooth flight. We left at about 12:38 in the morning, got there at 3:30 in the morning, like I said. So it was pretty early. So, you know, Airbnbs, hotels, anything, you can't check in. So what you would need to do is try to find something to do until you're able to check in. Also, they do have lockers where you can purchase a key and put your baggage and things like that until it's time for you to go check in, which I opted out from that because all I did was put everything in a book bag, so I just carried my book bag around. When exchanging your money, most places in Korea, they don't accept credit cards or debit cards. You can exchange your money in the airport for free, no charge. They in the airport there in Seoul, they exchange your money for free. And just to kind of give you a heads, kind of a idea of what the conversion is. $1 equals 1,100, and I think at the time 9 wons of Korean money. So that's just $1 American. And you can exchange it there, no charge. And yes, she spoke English at the currency exchange thing, so you won't have to worry about that. Secondly, getting around in Seoul, there's one of two options you can do, which I highly wouldn't recommend Ubering or taxiing, because the airport is on one side of the river, and I think which is in Incheon, to get to Seoul is at least an hour ride. To the heart of Seoul is an hour ride on the train, so you can get pretty pricey with taxis or Uber, and I don't know if they have that over there because I never tried to Uber. But what I did was I went to the convenience store that's in the mall, got a T-Money card here, and it costs, I think, 1,200 wons, which is basically $1.20. And what you would do, they'll tell you your recommendation, which is 20 wons, which is $20. And the $20 actually lasted me for 3 days, and I still was able to return this. Well, they get the rest of the money off the card, and I still had money given back to me. So this was only put 20,000 wons on it, and I used that. Also in Seoul, they have single ride tickets, meaning you can just put in where you're trying to go, and it'll tell you how much it is. You put it in, and they spit out a single ticket, and boom, you get on the train. Once you get to where you gotta go, return that ticket back. And I'm not for sure if they might give you a refund. I think they do, but there are other videos on that. And so, yeah, but you get to keep the T-Money card. They have different ones, and over in Seoul, they're into really big characters like this. So, it's up to you. You just do a little bit more research on what it is that you want to do as far as the single tickets, and it also depends on where you're staying. Me, I chose Airbnb. I decided to stay in Myeongdong, which is kind of almost in the center of Seoul. And one thing about in Asia, their places are going to be it's going to be small. It's going to be smaller than the average American hotel. It's going to be a little bit narrower. And also, it's more so of a traditional Korean style Airbnb where you had to take your shoes off at the door. It had the bed was on the floor, had central air conditioning, the shower, and like a kitchen and refrigerator and things like that. And it was near a lot of places to eat, and not too far from the train stations to get around. The only thing I didn't like was the mattress. It actually wasn't a mattress. It was pretty much the box spring part of the mattress, so it was actually hard, really, really hard. Back was hurting for days, but that's another story on the Airbnb. But all in all, it was a great Airbnb for the price that I got it at, and I would recommend it. But then again, unless they change the box spring to a mattress, that's the only issue that I would say I would have. But other than that, it was clean, it was quiet, it was private, and yeah, it really was. Another thing about getting around in Seoul, I've been to Japan twice this year, and yes, I did not vlog about Japan because that was before I decided to start a YouTube channel, but I will go back again, and this time if I go, I will take footage of me in Japan actually, since I kind of know my way around there. But in Seoul, Google Maps don't work as like in Japan or any other Asian country. Google Maps works fine. You can put in an address of where you're trying to go, and you'll be able to just follow it. But Google Maps doesn't work in Seoul, and the reason why is, and I think a lot of people don't know this, during the Korean War, even though the fighting stopped between North and South Korea, they technically didn't sign a peace treaty agreement. So technically they're still at war, but not really. So it said that they don't have, the Google Maps is deactivated in Seoul, so North Korea can't find places how to go or get around. I'm not for sure, but that's part of the reason why Google Maps is deactivated in Seoul. But if you connect to Wi-Fi in your hotel, Airbnb, you can do Google Maps that way, but not from your cell phone while you're on while you're walking around. So what you would do is download an app called City Mappers, and it also tells you what subways to take if you're trying to go somewhere, City Mappers. And also if you're trying to walk somewhere, you can put in the address or the place, and it can tell you what train to take, or if it's in the area, just walk to it. So that's another thing you should do, is download City Mappers if you decide to go to Seoul, or even it works in Japan as well. Seoul subway station is very big and very complex, but it's color coordinated, so it'll get easier as the more you ride it. So, but don't be afraid. That's just how it is. It's very efficient. It's very clean, and it's color coordinated, so it's kind of easy to follow. And it's in Korean and English, so you would be able to read it. And also, once you're in the train, when the stop comes, they say it in Korean, then they say it in English next. Some things to do, and so, well, I will tell you the things that I did. And so in Myeongdong, where I stayed, mostly Seoul did not wake up until 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. They have a lot of night markets that stay open until 2, 3, 4 in the morning. Myeongdong is the main shop. If you like shopping, they have a lot of shopping there. But also at night, they have a lot of night markets where you can try street food. And me, when I'm traveling, if you're traveling with me, it's food, more food than everything else. I figure, I can sightsee while I'm looking for great food to eat. And that's pretty much my whole purpose of traveling, is to try different foods from other cultures and things like that. But you can walk through Myeongdong, and it's a lot of food to choose from. So it's best to go with groups of people, to where each one of you can buy something totally different and you can all try it. And it's nothing weird. They didn't have anything weird out of the ordinary that, it was, steak, or you had seafood, you had ice cream, you had fruit. I mean, you had some places that had octopus, things like that, but that's normal in Asian culture for food like that. And even chicken, they had noodles, they had different things like that in Myeongdong. I highly recommend going there on your stop in Seoul, is to go to there to try some of the night markets, street food there at the night market. Also, if you're a person that likes to club, or you want to go to the clubs, you want to see underground bars and singing, Hongdae is pretty much like the college district where mostly younger people are. So it's more vibrant, it's more things as far as nightlife to do there, as far as clubs. They have actual underground, just kind of like your hole in the wall bar type thing, but it's not sketchy. It's just like it reminds me of New York. If you go to like a speakeasy in New York, if you've ever been in New York, it's like a little speakeasy thing where they have different poetry readings or open mic things. That's how their little bars and things remind me of, and Hongdae in Seoul. Also in Hongdae, I ate Korean barbecue, which was recommended by another YouTuber that I watch. He goes all over the world trying different food. It is Mikey Chin. His channel is Strictly Dumpling. If you travel a lot and you like different foods, I highly recommend his channel. I'll also put that down in the description. And for the price that I paid for the Korean barbecue, it's all you can eat for 11,000 wons, which is about $11. And that's pork galbi, which galbi is marinated. It's just some sauce that they marinate their pork steaks in, and you just grill it. Now, if you're not a pork eater, they do have beef as well. If you buy the all-you-can-eat package for beef, you can get all-you-can-eat pork package for 11,000 won. You can get your choice of beef for half the price, which I got sirloin, which it was 8,000 won, and I got it for 4, which is basically $4, and you can get that as well. Also, highly recommend the cold noodles. Yes, cold noodles. They were really, really, really cold buckwheat noodles were really good. Basically, cold noodles are pretty much what they sound like. They're really cold noodles, but it goes well with the hot barbecue food. So, Tongkeun Galbi is the name of the Korean restaurant. As I said, it's all you can eat. 11,000 won. You get lettuce. You get leaves of lettuce to put your meat in. You get vegetables. You get onions. You get kimchi. All that for 11,000 won, and it's no time limit on how long you can sit there and how much you can eat. You can eat as much as you want, and water is free at the table as well if you don't want a beverage or alcohol or anything like that. But I highly recommend that place. I'll also put that down in the description. Also, another thing to do is the airport, Incheon Airport, they have free tours. So I booked a free tour to one of the 5 palaces in Seoul, which is, I'm finna slaughter this name probably. It's the Gyeongbokgung Palace. It's a 14th century palace in the Choe dynasty, from the Choe dynasty, is where Chosun dynasty is where all the palaces that are in Seoul are from. It's from that dynasty. And pretty much it costs $3 to get into the admission into the palace, but being that you booked the tour through the airport tours, which is free, the tour guide came free, so you got a tour and the history of that particular palace while paying $3 to get into the admission to get into the palace. And just basically you're able to walk in the 14th century palace for $3 and have a free tour guide. You know, you can't beat that. But they have also airport tours. You have to look it up. They have other tours as well. Besides that one, you just have to look up one that you feel that you would want to do. Also, another thing to do is Seoul is no short of museums. And when I mean they have lots and lots of museums, and a lot of them are free. The ones that I know offhand that are free are the National Folk Museum of Korea, National Palace of Museum, the Bank of Korean Money Museum, the National Museum of Contemporary History. I know for sure are complimentary. They're free. It costs nothing to get into. Another museum that I wanted to do that I didn't get a chance to do while I was there is the Ice Museum, where everything is pretty much ice, and also the Love Museum, which I wouldn't recommend kids under 18 going, because yeah, it's that type of museum. So if they under 18, or you know, if you're that parent, you know, if your child a teenager and they can, you know, you want them there, then hey. But me, it's pretty much 18 and older. I would recommend 18 and older for that type of museum. But from being over there in Korea, what I've learned is that a lot of Koreans are more tradition. They pride themselves on passing down tradition, whether it's food, history, anything like that. Fun fact is, after the Korean War, you know, the United States did not help South Korea build back up the country. It was just left in ruins, and pretty much all that the United States did was gave a ration of flour to people of South Korea. So in the 1970s, the Korean government started something called the New Village Movement, where the Korean people basically went and built up Seoul because they felt that they rather do it than have their kids suffer. And through the New Village Movement is where majority of the street food came into place, like mung bean pancakes and things like that. If you haven't, I didn't get a chance to try mung bean pancakes. You should try it. It's really good. But that segues me into my next subject of, I went to several food markets. One is the Gwangjang Market, which I learned about the Gwangjang Market before I came to Seoul because I watched a show on Netflix called Street Food. And on Street Food, they have their different episodes from different Asian countries, but I specifically watched the Seoul episode. And it took me to Gwangjang Market, and it took me to a specific person's stall where she basically makes her knife cut noodles, pretty much handmade noodles. It's not through a machine. She basically takes the flour, roll it, and she ends up cutting her noodles and cooking it. She also makes kimchi dumplings. She also makes pork dumplings, and I highly recommend her stall because all the food that she gave me, from noodles to 8 dumplings, then some vegetables, kimchi, all that was only 10,000 won, which runs about $9.50, $10 if you round it off. And that was a lot of food, especially with her being on Netflix and having a sign up there showing that she was on an episode of Netflix. And it was cheap. It's cheap. It's not expensive to eat there. But also in Gwangjang Market is a lot of other food places, but I personally chose to go to that particular one because I saw her on the episode of Street Food and just wanted to try it, just to see if it was as good as other people said it was. And it actually was. It tastes like homemade food. If you, in a sense, like, say for instance, everybody says their grandmother makes the best macaroni and cheese or whatever it is that you like, it tastes homemade. And she learned her knife cut noodles recipe from her mother, and it was passed down to her. And that's what I mean by Koreans are so big on tradition, especially when it comes to cooking, that recipes are preserved and passed through the families through generation and generations. But also in Gwangjang Market, there's a lot of other things. You can buy clothes, you can buy fabric. It's a big market. You can pretty much buy anything. There, you're gonna, as you're walking, you're gonna have a whole bunch of people just asking you, come sit down, come eat. Don't be alarmed. That's just them trying to get their business there. And yeah, the Gwangjang Market is cash. There's no cars, so I highly recommend cash, and it's safe. There was not a time where I felt any kind of like, oh, I gotta watch them. Anytime I was there in Seoul at all, so it's pretty much, it's safe. I didn't feel any kind of threat, so to walk around with cash like that, it wasn't a problem. Also, I went to Namdaemun Market. It's another market, just same like Gwangjang Market, but except for Gwangjang Market is kind of inside and Namdaemun Market is outside. It still has the same thing, a lot of vendors and different foods and different places to buy souvenirs and things like that. And before I forget, while it's in my mind, if you've ever been to Japan and you still have some money, some yen, a lot of places in Seoul will take yens and it has to be the dollar bills because they can't exchange coins. It has to be paper money because they can't exchange coins. But a lot of places in Seoul will take the yen because the yen is more than the Korean won. So a lot of places, if you do have any Japanese money that you still have left over, if you've ever been there, or if you go there and then decide to go to Seoul, just remember that you can keep that because some places will take that. And I wish I would have known that before I went, because I have a lot of it that I just kept. And you can use it over there to purchase things versus the Korean won. And there was also another restaurant by Mikey Chin that I wanted to go to that I did not get a chance to go to. It's called Pork Chop. Pretty much, if you know anything about Asians, diets, it's mostly pork and beef and rice and noodles. So, not saying you can't get vegetable noodles if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, because if you're a vegetarian or vegan, some places they do boil like shrimp, or they might boil put lard in their water when they boiling the noodles, so you kind of have to ask, or if you kind of flexible with that like that. I'm not for sure. I don't know how that works, so I can't really go into it because I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian, so I don't know what it is. But I do know that some places they do, to kind of give their noodles a sweet flavor, they'll put shrimp, or they might put something in it to kind of give it a sweet flavor. And or I know some places do lard. But if you follow me on Instagram, or if you go to my Instagram page, it's not private, so you can look at all the pictures. I have a lot of pictures that I took while I was over there. Took pictures of the food that I ate, even the places that I went to, even places of the palace. And I will go back to Korea again. I have to, because there's, like I said, there's some things that I didn't get to do that I want to do. And yeah, I'm just basically striking off my bucket list one country at a time. Japan was on there, Korea was. Singapore is next on my bucket list. Well, is one of the places I do want to go on my bucket list. As far as, if you know about non-rev, the seats have to be open and I have to have time off. But that's another video for another time. But one thing I can say is, don't believe everything that you hear other people say about a certain country. Do your own research. Look up things for yourself. Look up things to do. There's plenty of YouTube videos. Kim Dow is a person that I look up, especially for Asian countries. Kim Dow, I look at her because she has videos on things to do in certain countries. She is who I looked at when I went to Tokyo. She has a video for 100 things to do in Tokyo. Yes, 30 minutes. And what you do is just watch the video, write down things that you think you would be interested in, and look them up on how to get there, and places to go, and things to eat there. You know, me, when I do my research, I do look for Kim Dow first and go through her videos, but I also kind of look at other people's videos just to try to get a better perspective of what I'm getting into once I get there. Because most of the time, most people's videos talk about the same thing, or they do the same exact things that the other ones, but you just get a different perspective. But Kim Dow is one person. For food, I look at Mikey Chin, his channel is Strictly Dumpling, or Mark Wing. Those are the three people that I know for sure that I go to every single time. Mikey Chin has not disappointed me at all with his food choices or anything that he's done. Mark is the same way. Even though Mark, he'll try a lot more other foods that I wouldn't personally try, because it's just, I've tried squid before and I'm not a big squid, you know, it was okay. You know, he's one of those, but he still finds good places to eat and things like that. It's just that I can't eat as much as they do. You look at the videos and you'll be like, where are you putting this? But I'll say, just do your own research on places. Don't be afraid to go because you've heard this, if you heard that. Just do your own research and, you know, find somebody to go with. Get other people that, you know, have the same interests as you and that wants to go. And that's what I do, you know. And that's all I have for you on Seoul. Yeah, I'm trying to think if I left anything out, but I can't think of anything. Like I said, if you have any questions, you can leave them in a comment. You can email me. Make sure you like, subscribe, and all that. And but that's my time. I'm on this 5-day trip here, and I want to thank all you for watching. Thank for you all of those who have subscribed to my channel. I'm gonna keep pushing out content, you know, what I think, you know, is helpful. I'm just a person that likes to help somebody. Like I stated before, I'm not trying to change, you know, the world or anything like that. If I can motivate one person or help one person out, I felt like I've done my job for the day. But that's all the time I have. Thank you. Oh yeah, and I'm sorry about that. I forgot the quote of the day. And the quote is, dream so big that you get uncomfortable telling small-minded people. Y'all have a great night.